Today we're going to look at the top 7 Boise, Idaho suburbs everyone is moving to. We're going to look at how much each of these have grown and stay for the end where I go through the suburb that has grown way more than every other suburb. We will look at the home prices in each of these suburbs, show you why some of these suburbs have grown so much, and then of course talk about why these suburbs are places some of you might actually not want to move to. My name is Brady Fagel. I am a Boise local and I am a real estate agent, so if you have any questions during the course of this video, shoot me a text, a call, or leave a comment anytime. Number 7 on our list is Nampa, Idaho. This is the second largest suburb of Boise and probably the least popular place on this list for people both moving here and locals, largely due to the crime and some of the industrial properties. But from 2020 to 2024, Nampa grew 19% from 100,000 people to 119,000 people. A lot of that growth has come more recently because Nampa is one of the most affordable suburbs to buy a home, with the median home price of around $450,000 and the cheapest home in Nampa for sale right now around $300,000, getting you something like this as a very reasonable, first home. And some of these cheaper homes even being fully remodeled. Keep in mind as we go through these rankings that all of Boise has grown significantly over the last 4 years. In fact, this year, the only city that decreased in population was Boise itself. But with that, you will see at the end just how much more popular the last 2 suburbs are. And I say this because Nampa, again, has its issues, but even with those issues, it grew almost 20%. Most people moving here, they choose to live in the outskirts of Nampa. This is where more of the new construction is. You have nicer neighborhoods and you are out by Lake Lowell, which offers a great amenity for some really pretty views. You have hiking trails out there, there's a beach to hang out, and then plus you can take a boat out during the summer. Nampa will also be about 40 minutes from Boise, and although you have amenities in Nampa like the Idaho Center, you have a Costco, a Target, you don't get things like the Village and Meridian or all of the restaurants and concerts that Boise will have. So people have to commute into town for those major activities. I also mentioned the safety and industrial feel at the beginning, which is another reason people move to the outskirts of Nampa. Around the downtown area is not nearly as safe as other areas. When I used to work downtown Nampa, we had a truck stolen in the middle of the day right in front of our office. So that won't happen in the outskirts of Nampa or really any of the other suburbs. And then as you drive through Nampa, you will see the sugar beet factory, which can create an unpleasant smell in parts of Nampa. There's a dairy factory, Amazon has a warehouse here, and then there's a ton of industrial and commercial properties, making Nampa just not as nice. Number 6 on our list is the largest suburb and the most centralized suburb in the Boise area. Meridian, Idaho has grown 21% from 2020 to 2024, from 117,600 to 142,800. I was a little surprised by these numbers because Meridian is a very popular place, but most of the growth here happened from 2015 to 2020. It was in the top 10 in the nation for a number of those years. Now that the Boise area has grown, home prices in Meridian have made it a much less popular place for people to choose to move. With the median home price of $550,000, it is $100,000 more expensive than in Nampa. And as you'll see throughout this video, more expensive than all but one other suburb. And one of the least expensive homes in Meridian will look something like this, which is going to be much different than that same priced home in Nampa or other parts of Boise. And you won't find anything near $300,000 that is livable in Meridian. But it's for good reason. Meridian, Idaho is a great place to live. It's centralized for people who work in Boise or want to go downtown and do things. It's only about 20 to 30 minutes. And Meridian has the Village. It's an outdoor shopping mall with restaurants, a movie theater, shops, and a giant park. It also has grocery stores and restaurants on every corner in Meridian. And then Shields just opened up off of 10 Mile, and they are beginning to build a place called the District, which will be 4 times the size of the Village that we just looked at, and is going to bring in some of the top stores and restaurants in the country. apparently restaurants and stores that the Boise area and even all of Idaho have never had. The only downside of Meridian is that you don't have access to the Boise River and the foothills like you will see in 3 of the next suburbs. And if you want to live in a smaller suburb with less people, Meridian will be one of the busiest suburbs, which includes some of the worst traffic, even more so than Boise itself. But again, my name is Brady Fagel, and my goal is to truly help you guys make the best decision for you and your family. It's why I make these videos and why I make sure that if you trust me enough to reach out and shoot me a text or a call, I'm the one responding, I'm the one answering, I'm the one showing you homes. I'm not going to hand you off to anyone on my team or any other agents. So shoot me a text or a call anytime so I can learn about you and give you a more personalized answer. Plus, if you could subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out and it helps you not miss any videos. Now, number 5 on the list is the farthest suburb from Boise. It's also the most affordable with a median home price of $430,000 and the cheapest home, again, around that $300,000 mark, looking something like this, where again, it's not the nicest house, but it is livable and can be a great starter home for some people. The home prices in Caldwell are a big part of why it has grown faster than the previous 2 suburbs, growing 22% from 2020 to 2024, and 60,000 people to 73,000 people. And even though it doesn't compare to the growth and homes in our last suburbs on our list, it can be a great option for a lot of people. If you know the right areas to look, Caldwell is great if you want to live in the vineyard country, you want some land and a little bit nicer house, but you don't want to pay the extra $100,000 to $200,000. There are also some new construction communities being built all over the northern section of Caldwell, but because it is in Caldwell, you can buy a new construction home for as low as $350,000, which you won't find anywhere else in the valley other than maybe some parts of Nampa. This makes it very popular for people buying their first home. The only downside to Caldwell is the crime and just part of the feel of Caldwell. You also have the longer commutes into Meridian and Boise, with drives into Boise sometimes taking an hour and an hour and a half during rush hour. The crime and the look of Caldwell, it is very, very similar to everything we talked about with Nampa. So everything I said about Nampa, Idaho, you can imagine in Caldwell. Number 4 on our list is the most expensive suburb of Boise, with a median home value of around $900,000 and the cheapest home being $460,000. Looking something like this. So you will be paying a minimum of $100,000 more for homes in Eagle. Despite that, Eagle has grown 24% in the last 4 years. It has grown from 30,000 to 38,000 people during that time. Eagle is the first suburb on the list that has the Boise River and the foothills, which is a really popular spot for people to be. You can hike and go mountain biking in the foothills, and you can walk the Greenbelt. Some of Eagle's most popular neighborhoods are right along the Boise River, with places like Two Rivers, which, as you can see, has a ton of waterfront properties, very large homes, and it has perfect landscaping. This is a major theme in Eagle. There are more waterfront properties and highly manicured neighborhoods in Eagle than anywhere else in the Treasure Valley. I often call this the Beverly Hills of Boise, and it's because so many people love living here, and it has really nice homes and nice landscaping. But in Eagle, you are 15 minutes away from Boise, you're 15 minutes away from everything in Meridian, and it's big enough that you have things to do in the city of Eagle, but small enough that you feel like you are in the country. Plus, it's the safest city in Boise, which is extremely hard to do because Boise is already below the national average. Eagle is actually 60% lower than the national average. So if you can afford to move to Eagle, it's a great place to check out. Number 5 on our list is where numbers start to go up faster, with the last one on our list even blowing these growth rates out of the water. But number 5 is a suburb that I now call home and have been calling home, so I contribute to these statistics. Kuna, Idaho has grown 31% in the last 4 years, from 24,000 to 32,000. And I think this is a suburb that will move to that number 1 or 2 spot in a year or two. Kuna it's a smaller town with a ton of new construction homes and new commercial properties. They are building a Panera Bread and a grocery outlet in the next few months. There's a Costco coming to Kuna in a year or two. And on top of that, Facebook has started building its almost billion-dollar data center, which will bring further growth. But our favorite part of Kuna is that it actually feels like a smaller town than other small towns in Boise. While still having more restaurants and stores than those same suburbs, Kuna has also done a much better job of planning its streets, so it isn't as crowded. And Kuna is off on its own in the south of the valley, so you don't have commuters from other suburbs driving through town and clogging it up. You're also 30 minutes away from Boise and a 12-minute drive into Meridian. It's a great place to be. And on top of that, the home prices are still affordable. Unlike the last suburbs we will look at, home prices in Kuna average out at $440,000, with the cheapest home around $330,000, looking something like this. So you can spend almost $100,000 less in Kuna and have some amazing homes. I do not think this will last much longer though. As Kuna continues to grow and as Kuna builds places like Costco, the home prices will go up faster than in other areas of the valley, which also makes it a good investment. Kuna is starting to get master plan communities with awesome amenities, places like Valor, and it won't be long before Kuna is much less affordable than some of these other suburbs. Number 6 on our list, it gives us another large bump from the last. This is the smallest suburb of Boise with a current population of 13,190. But 4 years ago, there was only 9,500 people living here, which means it has grown 40%. Part of that is it doesn't take a lot of people moving to a small town like this for the percentage to go up, because Middleton has had the least amount of people moving here with only 1,000 people a year. But when you are moving to a small town for quiet living and small town feel, 1,000 people a year changes things fast at that size. Middleton is tied for the farthest from Boise with about an hour-long commute into the Boise area, and then 30 to 40 minutes into Meridian in the Village. Homes in Middleton are a little bit more affordable, with a median home price of around $500,000, and the cheapest home in Middleton right around $330,000, looking something like this, which you won't find in many of the other most popular suburbs like Eagle and Meridian. New construction communities have also recently started to pop up in Middleton. I don't think it will be much longer before Middleton starts to look like the next suburb, which is by far the most popular place for people to move to Boise. And that suburb is number 1 on the list, and it is Star, Idaho. It is very similar to Middleton. They both have the Boise River and homes with an acre or half acre. The foothills run through both towns, and if you live in either of these suburbs, you will likely visit the other one. Some big differences are that Star has a better trail system to walk along the river. There was a park recently opened here in Star along the river. They built lakes to allow you to kayak, paddleboard, or hang out on the beach. In Middleton, you have one small dirt trail along the Boise River, so you just can't utilize it as much in Middleton as you can in Star. Star is also about 20 minutes closer to Boise and Meridian, so if you live in Star, it's only about 15-minute drive to Costco and Meridian, whereas in Middleton, it will be 30, maybe even 40 minutes. And if you live in Middleton, you have to drive through Star to get to everything in the other suburbs, which has become a problem because Star has gotten very busy. Even though there are only 19,000 people in Star, it feels busier, and there's much more traffic than in Kuna, where there's 30,000 people. And this is where I talk about where Kuna feels smaller. Even though it has 30,000 people, it feels like a smaller town than Star with only 19,000. But 4 years ago, Star only had 11,000 people, so it's growing twice as fast as Middleton and has grown by 80% in the last 4 years. This has caused not only the traffic to skyrocket, but also the home prices. There's not a home under $400,000, and I actually recently sold the only home under $400,000, and it sold before it even hit the market. Because Star is really such a hot spot in the Boise area, especially for people relocating here. The median home in Star is around $600,000, with the cheapest home in Star being at $410,000 right now, and that's a new construction home, which is absolutely booming in Star right now. There are more new construction communities than you can keep track of in Star. There's every option of new construction. All of the builders are building there. But now that you've heard all of the places everyone is moving to in Boise and how much it has grown, you might see that it has created a ton of issues for people. So I interviewed everyone that I know and asked them one question. I asked them, what do you think sucks about living in Boise? So watch this video here where I go through the responses, I break down why their responses are what they are, and I help you guys understand what might suck about moving here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support, and I look forward to meeting you in person.